tell you about some recent sheep shenanigans that happened on our farm. I'm Natalie Lucier from Waykeeper Farm and Nerdery, and we are trying to regenerate this land by doing permaculture, planting lots of trees, having sheep, chickens, ducks, and geese, and just doing all kinds of fun experiments to improve the soil and plant all kinds of great things. For the most part, we like to keep our sheep outside because they enjoy the great weather, they get nice fresh air and sunshine, and even at night they're usually fine because there's bales of straw that they can lean against. But sometimes it does get too windy or too wet, so that's when we move them into our small barn. Before we moved to the farm, this barn was being used for horses, so the doors didn't quite work for sheep. So my dad lovingly built us some brand new doors out of some scrap wood, and we were able to put our sheep in there, and it's been amazing. Now what we realized is that our ram, Magneto, is super strong and he likes to climb up and peek over that door. And the way that we had the latches on the door set up, he was able over time to continue to push on that door, and one night we realized that they got out of their stall in the barn. And it's just like Robin says, it was
sheep home along! Ah!
So these sheep tore through everything in the barn. They ate some hay, they found some grains, they peed and pooed everywhere, and the buckets were all over the place. And it was essentially like sheep party in that barn. Now the interesting thing is that the outside door of the barn was closed, but they were able to shimmy that open. And by the morning, they went out of the barn completely and they were just grazing the grass around the barn. And while I was getting breakfast ready for the kids, I looked outside and I realized, oh my gosh, our sheep are just walking towards their sacrifice area on their own. Robin didn't open the door, I didn't open the door. What was going on? That's when we realized Magneto totally busted through that door and we had to do something fast. So we just went outside, we got some grains for the sheep and led them to their sacrifice area, which is where they're staying for the winter. And now we've fixed the latch on the door so it is a lot sturdier and Magneto is not going to be busting through that door anytime soon. We've also had other sheep shenanigans on the farm. One of our sheep, Professor, loves to scratch himself every time we pass between the barn and their sacrifice area. He will scratch himself on the fences because, you know, when you're super woolly, it does tend to probably itch, I'm sure, underneath all of that wool, and it's really hard to reach. So he loves to scratch himself, and the other sheep have learned from him how to scratch themselves on those posts and those fences. So that's just a day in the life of a modern day sheep homesteading farmer. Now obviously sheep are smart and we're super grateful that they sit in the barn all night because there are coyotes in the area. And then once the sun came out, they went out to graze, and then it's also awesome and super smart of them to head over to their own paddock area so that we saw them and they didn't run away and go into the road or anything like that. And obviously we've learned a lot of lessons from this, but these are the types of sheep shenanigans that we get to deal with on a semi-regular basis here at the Waykeeper Farm and Nerdery. And so what exactly is this farm and why are we doing this? Well, we absolutely love regenerating the land and learning about animals and permaculture and gardening and planting trees. So if that's the kind of thing you love to, make sure you subscribe to my channel here on YouTube, and then go ahead and watch my next video all about grazing sheep and what we do in the summer and spring and fall months.